Yo, what's going on, homies? It's your boy StumpD back for another OPTC video, and in today's video, we're diving into some regular content with the 6+ Jewelry Bonney, taking a look at the new Super Evolution over here on OPTC. And this one is very, very interesting because this unit actually gets a very interesting side grade. And the big side grade that this character actually gets is the fact that she becomes a cerebral unit. Now, a very long time ago, I put out a showcase or a very fast run of Dofi 2, and I thought I'd revisit it with the same team now that we have the Super Evolution of Bonney. However, one other big thing changes with the character, not only the fact that she becomes cerebral, but her special becomes a color affinity booster. Now, this can be bad, this can be good. However, in turn with this side grade, they actually gave regular V1 Bonney 6-star a level limit break as well. So to start off the video, we're going to hybrid the two Bonnies up together with their level limit break 5. So, the level limit break 5 of the new Cerebral type 6+ Bonney allows you to get a Int and Cerebral Captain at 5 times, 5.5 when you have a Recovery Orb, 4.25 to everyone else, makes Recovery Orbs beneficial for all characters, and gain a Recovery Orb when attacking with type advantage. As for the 6-star Bonney, it's just Int characters at 4.75, 5.5 again if they have a Recovery Orb, 4.25 for everyone else, and makes Recovery Orbs beneficial for all characters, giving them a Recovery Orb when attacking. So as you can see, the Captain abilities, they're very similar. Obviously, with the 6+ of Bonney, they added Cerebral, and this in turn works very well with all of the Vegapunk characters that have been releasing as of lately, because obviously with Kuma and Bonney and what we're seeing in Egghead, the characters all work very, very well together. And it's really nice that they gave her this Cerebral buff, especially for people that didn't summon any of the Vegapunk exclusive legends like Atlas and Vegapunk himself. Obviously, Lilith is a regular legend, which is probably the nicest one to get for most players, but if you are playing your PvP, you will be able to get access to this very, very powerful Int Cerebral base captain. And lately, we've had a lot of Int Cerebral support. We've had, obviously, the new legends in Moria Perona and Dofi Sugar. We've also had stuff like Koala and Robin, and we have Blackberry and Ulti in the past as well. Robin Koala are an absolute sleeper for a fantastic character. Really, really underrated unit, and obviously, with Bonney being a super type, means that you can actually hybrid her up with some of the other characters like Atlas and Lilith and get a super type and a super class as well. Now, ironically, this whole team is actually Cerebral besides the Bonney that is our friend Captain. Now, I did manage to find a level in rank 5 Bonney, and as you can see here, her special is the big difference. Her special gives an attack buff, where the special of 6+ Bonney actually gives a color affinity buff. Now, 6+ Bonney is going to reduce Slot Bind and Silence by 10 turns, which is exactly the same as the 6-star. Gives 1 turn of cooldown to all characters, except the 6+ will give 2 turns of cooldown to all characters. If you use 8 or more Recovery Orbs within the run, the special will ignore defensive effects and debuff protection and reduce all enemies' defense by 100% for 2 turns, and then reduce all enemies' defense by 100% otherwise. The regular 6-star will only reduce the defense by 1 turn no matter what. Like, it doesn't go through immunity, it doesn't do any of that fun stuff. So, obviously, from, like, right off the bat, if you can get the 8 Recovery Orbs, the 6+ is going to be a much better variation. Continuing on with the special, empty block and badly matched orbs get turned into Recovery Orbs, which is the same as in both specials. However, the 6-star will then boost the attack of in-characters by 2.75, where the 6+ will boost the color affinity of Cerebral characters by 2.5 times for 2 turns. So obviously, with the 6+, you want to kind of build Cerebral teams, where the original Bonney, you wanted to kind of build Int teams. However, if you use 7 or fewer Recovery Orbs in the attack when the special is launched, you lock the chain multiplier at 3.25 for 2 turns. If you use 8 or more recovery before the special's launch, set the chain boundary to 3.25, maxing at 25 for 2 turns, and increase the color affinity buff by 0.25, including the one using this special. If you've somehow got 15 or more Recovery Orbs when the special is activated, then you are going to set the chain boundary at 3.5, maxing at 25 times, and then still increase the chain, the affinity buff by 0.25. When it comes to the regular 6-star Bonney, you are going to basically, again, get a chain boundary effect as well, which is great, but you're obviously not going to increase the attack buff like you are doing with the color affinity buff. So the fact that now both Bonnies have become chain boundaries rather than a chain locker is exceptional. This particular buff literally carries the unit into the next echelons. Chain lock is long and gone. Chain locking units are like immediately debuffed. Unless you're like trying to beat very finicky content like 10-star Kazuna, they don't really show too much value. When it comes to big damage, chain boundaries are always going to be way better. And the fact that she does this means that you can hybrid her up with some of these Vegapunk legends, especially Vegapunk himself can give you chain boosting and stuff like that. And you can do some really, really nice stuff. So all in all, the changes are exceptional, but I think running the two together with a mono in team, you're going to get a lot of value out of the two. And as you can see here, we have a lot of damage output when we are running them side by side. So really fun stuff running the 6-star and the 6+. Let's move on to some cerebral stuff with the Vegapunk legends. So we're going to take on the 10-star Kazuna Clash. Obviously, the Vegapunks work really, really well here, but I sort of just wanted to talk about Bonney and take her into some content. She was obviously the prize of this particular Kazuna too, so it kind of fit hand in hand. But the fact that Bonney's now a chain boundary unit, like, it just makes her way, way more usable than what a chain lock actually is. But another really big upside to the character is she slides straight into this cerebrally kind of meta in Cerebral and the Vegapunk units. Something else to note too is her super type actually becomes very, very good. It's the same conditions with basically having any of the supernovas on the team. However, they've just gone and added Kuma, Sabo, and Vegapunk Stella. Now, Vegapunk Stella refers to Dr. Vegapunk himself. So, unfortunately, you can't like get this activation going with stuff like Lilith or Atlas or Chaka, any of those types of characters. But the fact that they threw Sabo in here is kind of interesting. And look, I do think, obviously, with what's going on in the anime, we're going to get an cerebral Kuma down the line somewhere. So I do think this is a pretty easy condition to satisfy. As you guys saw, we have a bunch of laws in the game that are all cerebrals. You can easily throw them on the team. Unfortunately, we don't have too many Monkey D. Luffy's that are cerebral characters, but Hawkins does see a lot of cerebral units. Yoro does as well. As for the rest, though, Sabo obviously has a bunch of cerebral characters as well. And then with Vegapunk himself, like, that's the character they really want you to use with him. But her super type did get a massive buff where she changes all orbs, including block, into recovery, and then locks them for 1 turn. She then reduces fear by 5 turns, reduces special charge of her own charge by 2 turns, and transforms Int into Super Int. Now, as you guys saw at the start of this particular run, I do use Bonney's super type literally off rip. And I do think this is a really, really good ability because Bonney wants to eat a bunch of recovery orbs. She wants you to eat at least 8, so that way you can get access to her 3.25 chain boundary rather than getting the chain lock. On top of that, she can then apply that increase to color affinity, which she gives herself. So that way she's giving you guys a 2.75 color affinity buff, as well as giving you a chain boundary instead of all of those other shenanigans that she's trying to do. With this, you can basically use this turn 1 in stuff like 10-star Kazunas, in very short content like blitzes and stuff, lock your recovery orbs, get your 6 recoveries on the first turn, carry them into the next turn, and then use something like the Magello ship, or use another particular special that can like lock orbs, and you can just continuously hold recovery orbs, actually getting 12 recovery orbs very nicely. The downside is if you do want to have to like get to the 15 plus, you are going to have to probably stall a turn, which can be a little bit of a problem, so I would have liked to have seen this be 12 or more rather than 15 recovery orbs, but nevertheless, it's not the end of the world. If you guys don't have her level limit break in as well, her special is basically going to cap out at increasing the color affinity buffs, plus she only locks the chain multiplier between 3.25 and 4 times, depending on how many recovery orbs you have. So the buff between the 6+ level limit break 5 and the level limit break 1 is absolutely massive. Honestly, Bonney at level limit break 1 to 4 is kind of mid. The special does lack a lot because you are getting a chain lock, but look, it's not unusable. Like, you can definitely use this because one of Bonney's biggest strengths is her utility. She was one of the first characters that could get around fear, and by doing this, she could also get around silence and special reverse. Remember, as a captain, she can give herself 2 turns of cooldown. She can then use her special to roll back special charge by 2 turns. However, as a captain, if your captains get silenced, she is stuck in a very, very annoying spot. Very similar to what Vegapunk's trying to do, where Vegapunk doesn't remove special by his captain ability, but does any special. If you get stuck as a captain and your special line kicks in, you are going to be in for a rough time, or if characters need like fear removal to get around stuff like special reverse, but they have stuff like silence removal, in their Sailor, you can actually use Bonney to get around stuff like Fear. The downside, again, is if the character doesn't have Fear, gets Special Binded, then they can't remove the Special Bind themselves. You're going to have to try and find another way around that. But the upside to Bonney too is she removes Slot Bind. Not many characters in the game can do that. 10 turns of it too is a lot. Plus she's giving the Special Bind and the 2 turns of cooldown. And as a Sailor, she obviously has Fear. And she has the Sailor abilities where she can rotate her specials back and remove Special Bind on herself. So you can use her very, very nicely as a sub. We actually do use her for I believe it was that one right there, the strength one as a sub. We use her for the cooldowns, we use her for the Special Bind removal, and it works out really nicely as a Sailor. Something else to note too is she actually got a bit of a buff to her support. Going on any of the Supernova characters, she's going to give them a recovery orb and then reduce silence by 2 turns and make recovery orbs beneficial for 1 turn. From what I remember, she used to give cooldowns with her Sailor ability. However, I'm not 100% sure exactly what it was. I do remember it proccing on the final stage, but I don't exactly remember. Yeah, it used to give... No, it just used to give 2 turns of silence removal. Okay, so it's pretty much exactly the same. Never mind. I am an absolute pelican. But at the end of the day, you're not really ever going to really use her as a support. You're pretty much just going to use her on the team. She's got a very nice buff to Rumble as well. And again, obviously with these in-cerebral teams sort of floating around, she becomes very, very nice in Rumble. She does special rewind as well. But overall, I think she's an incredibly powerful 6+. I dislike the whole side grade thing, especially for newer players. For myself, like, I don't have many second copies of Bonney, and I would love to have a second copy of Bonney because she's actually a fighter character rather than a cerebral. But 99% of the time, I feel like you're going to see more play with this particular Bonney rather than seeing play with the 6-star Bonney. So if you had to prioritize one, I would definitely prioritize the 6+, as she's going to be boosted in the future. And color affinity boosters, they're not exactly that prevalent on the cerebral-based teams, besides obviously like the super swap of like Robin Koala and Chopper and stuff. But when it comes to these Vegapunk units, Shaka's really the only one that can do that. So having that extra color affinity booster is actually nice. And then you can sort of mix it up with the chain boundary and not have to run stuff like Pythagoras when you are using the Stellar Vegapunk too. But let me know your thoughts and opinions of this particular character in the comment section below. I think she's a fantastic 6+, and honestly, where they've been going with 6+s over the last 12 months, it's been really, really good signs. Obviously, we've had stuff like Rayleigh, who was busted. Kaido was phenomenal. Stampede Luffy was incredible. Shanks 6+ was really, really good too. So we've had a really, really good run of 6+ legends. Arlong Crew, honestly, Arlong Crew's not too bad. Like, he was kind of necessary for players, but not exactly what on this type of level. But at the same time, what they're doing with 6+s, I'm really impressed with, and I hope they continue the trend with these really powerful characters, revitalizing them in the game with stuff like level limit breaks, and making them synergize with particular batches and characters that have been upcoming. But like I said, let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. While you're down there, belt the like button, hit the subscribe button, do all that good stuff. Most importantly, wherever you guys are in this beautiful world, please remember to enjoy the rest of your day. As always, homies, thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Later!